Welcome to the fifth class in the study of chapter 3 of the Yoga Sutras. This chapter is called the Vibhūti Pādaḥ, the chapter on the glories from meditation. So we are at the halfway point. We've done 4 classes so far, and we have 4 more. So last time we stopped with this sutra, which says, Chandre Tara Vyuha Jnanam. So Patanjali talks about 2 what you can say as entrances in the body, or there are 2 points in the body. One is the solar entrance. So this we saw in the previous sutra. Bhuvana Jnanam Surya Saṃyamat. So it's Surya. He just calls it Surya. And this could be confusing. You may think, oh, is it the sun? No, it refers to the solar entrance. Swami Hariharananda clarifies. So the solar entrance and the lunar entrance are 2 subtle points in the body. This has profound significance, and we'll see a story also. And it comes in the Mahabharata. Bhishma, the great Bhishma, he has a boon of Ichcha Mrityu, that is Mrityu's death. Ichcha means desire. He can invite death at that whenever he wants, which means till then he has the desire to live as long as he wants. So he chooses his time of death. So Bhishma, Krishna arranges all the Krishna as the master planner, right, in the Mahabharata, and Krishna arranges so that he brings in Shikandi before Arjuna. So, which means Shikandi is a transgender. A man becoming or a woman becoming a man. So Bhishma has strict rules. So he says he wouldn't fight a woman. So let me just go to that picture. So Bhishma says he wouldn't fight a woman. So then Arjuna from behind Shikandi starts shooting arrows, and his body is riddled with arrows and he falls down. But Bhishma doesn't want to give up his life then, because he's a yogi and he's waiting for the right time to give up his body. Okay. And the right time is called Uttarayana. Bhishma waits for Uttarayana, the northern course of the sun. See, at least in the northern hemisphere, so there's the sun for certain months. It's in the northern course, and it has a yogic significance which goes beyond the simple control of desires. What it means is that the macrocosm is reflected in the microcosm, and the yogis, they can apparently choose to depart in 2 ways. So by mastering the prana, in the Bhagavad Gītā 8th chapter, it says that in great detail. So by mastering the prana, the yogi can choose to depart by one of these entrances. And if the yogi's power is very strong, the yogi, he or she, can depart through the solar entrance. If they're not that strong, they end up departing through the lunar entrance. Both are great. But in the Bhagavad Gītā, it says that those that depart, so this lunar and solar entrances are 2 points in the body. Agnir Jyotir Aha Shuklaha Shanmasa Uttarayanam Tatra Prayata Gachanti Brahma Vidojana. So Bhagavan tells Arjuna, he talks about Prayana Kala Smaranam, how to die. Arjuna is asking Bhagavan, and Bhagavan explains everything. He says, departing by that bright path guided by the presiding deities of fire, light, daytime, the bright fortnight of the moon, the 6 months when the sun is in the northern hemisphere, the knowers of Brahman go to Brahmaloka. So this is guided by these deities means when they're basically invoking the blessings of all these forces of nature, and the yogi departs through the solar entrance. And why is the 6 months when the sun is in the northern hemisphere? Because as we saw, the stars and the planets, they have an influence on us. During that time, it is more conducive to depart through this. So that is why Bhishma is waiting. And so they go to Brahmaloka, and then they gain knowledge. It's called Krama Mukti. This is a very important term in Vedanta. It's called Krama Mukti, whereby they go to Brahmaloka, and from there they learn everything from Brahma and attain liberation. And other yogis who cannot have that yogic strength, they Dhumo ratris tata Krishnaha Shanmasa Dakshinayanam Tatra Chandramasam Jyotihi Yogi Prapya Nivartate. Departing by the dark path is called Shuklagati, a dark path presided by the deities of smoke night, dark fortnight of the moon. The 6 months when the sun is in the southern hemisphere, the yogi attains the lunar light of the heavens and returns to earth. So these are two, for our point, all we need to know is there are two subtle points in the body called the solar and the lunar entrance. And by meditation on the solar entrance, one understands Bhuvana Jnanam, all the worlds, knowledge of all the worlds. Bhuvana Jnanam, Surya saṃyama, and Chandre Tara Vyuha Jnanam. And by meditating on the lunar entrance, it's a subtle, you focus on this point in the body, as Swami Hariharananda previously said. These are not, these are subtle points in the body, in the heart complex. The solar entrance is located in the heart complex somewhere there, and the sun refers to the pure sattvic quality. That's why it's called Surya, the solar entrance, because the sattva is radiating there. Okay, and then the lunar entrance. So lunar, now I have to tell a very popular story. So we introduced Jyotish in the last class, right? So what we saw is that there is a big belt around, is called the ecliptic, a huge belt. So when the earth is rotating, it looks to us that all the planets are moving around us. It's all relative, right? So, and this is divided into 12 portions, and you can do a fine refinement into 27 nakshatras. So what are the nakshatras? They are, I wouldn't call it even constellations. Let's call it mansions. They're call it lunar mansions. So essentially, a certain, usually they have a certain constellation and an important star associated with it. Okay, so the story goes that Daksha Prajapati, who's the mind-born son of Brahma. So all these are symbolic. So these are not, I've told before, Brahma is nothing but the cosmic intellect. So the Brahma cosmic intellect gives rise to some thoughts, and this is that symbolized as Daksha Prajapati, the mind-born son of Brahma. So this is a story between Daksha Prajapati and Chandra, the moon god. So Daksha had 27 radiant daughters, very beautiful daughters. Let me go to that slide. So Daksha had 27 radiant daughters. These are the nakshatras. And what does Daksha do? Brahma is in the process of creation, right? So he gives his 27 radiant daughters in marriage to Chandra. So these are all symbolic. So don't ask why so many wives for one man and all that. So because it's all symbolism. That way in the Mahabharata, Draupadi had 5 husbands, and Krishna says this is not just the first time a woman is marrying many people. It has happened in the past also, so don't worry, he says. Anyway, so these are all just symbolism. So these 27 daughters represents the 27 nakshatras. So nakshatra is this 360-degree circle divided into 27 finer points. And why 27? Because it takes approximately that much time for the moon to go around the earth, right? So the 27 daughters represent the nakshatras. The word nakshatra can simply mean a star in Sanskrit or heavenly light. But in Jyotisha, it has a more technical meaning. Nakshatra is not a physical star, nor is it the same as a modern astronomical constellation. These are the 27 lunar mansions, 27 equal divisions of the 360-degree zodiac, and each occupies 13, little over 13 degrees, 13 degree, 20 seconds. Many nakshatras are associated with a visible star. For example, Rohini. Rohini is a very famous nakshatra. You'll see that. Rohini is the nakshatra under which Bhagavan Krishna was born. So Rohini nakshatra is associated with a bright reddish star, which is in English, they call it Aldebaran. And another nakshatra, Kritika, is associated with another star, Pleiades. So the nakshatra, it's not one star. It is essentially a lunar mansion or star fields, constellations. Okay. So Chandra gets married to the 27 daughters. And Daksha told him, you have to treat all my daughters equally. So the moon is supposed to go through this 27 nakshatras in sequence, roughly spending 1 day in each. In about 27.3 days, the moon completes one full circuit through all the nakshatras. Thus, the moon functions like a cosmic clock. Those days, that's why they have the lunar calendar, marking time to the movement of it by its daily movement through the star fields. So Chandra was supposed to treat all the 27 wives equally. So the moon must move through all the 27 nakshatras. Like moon is always shining and it has to move through that. That's how it was. But Chandra became attached to one wife. This wife is Rohini. He was captivated by her beauty. Instead of moving equally through all mansions, he lingered with Rohini and neglected the others. The neglected wives complained to their father, Daksha. Daksha, seeing the cosmic order was being disturbed by Chandra's partiality, cursed the moon to lose the brilliance and wither away. As Chandra faded, the world itself was affected. So even in the Bhagavad Gītā, it says, the plants derive their sap, their energy from the moonlight. So the plants weakened, then the whole system started collapsing, and the rhythm of time seemed threatened. Then Lord Shiva intervened, and all the rishis, the sages, they prayed to Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva intervened, and the curse was modified. Moon would not completely disappear, but would instead wax and wane in a repeating cycle. This became the eternal rhythm of the lunar month. So the story is not merely about jealousy among celestial beings. It's symbolic of the way of explaining the importance of moon in the structure of time. If the moon remained fixed in one nakshatra, the entire lunar calendar would collapse. There'd be no orderly movement through the 27 mansions. The moon's disciplined movement through all the nakshatras is what keeps the cosmic clocks ticking. So this is all the grahas occupy the various nakshatras. So the nakshatras are, it's a belt right now. The planets, all the planets and the other moon, everything, they occupy these things, and that gives us, when we are born under that star, it gives us a certain quality. Born under the star means the moon is located in that gives a certain mental quality. Okay. So to summarize all this, what we saw as the 12 rashis, the 12 divisions. There's a broad field, and the nakshatra is a subtler star field. The 360-degree divided as 12 is the rashis. Then within that we have 27 division of the same 360 into 27 parts is a subtler subfield. So the graha is the active force. The moon's nakshatra shows the mental, emotional channel through which the person experiences life and karma. So this is the symbolism. Okay, that is the symbolism of the lunar entrance. So by meditation on the lunar entrance, knowledge of the arrangement of stars is obtained. And also the lunar entrance is a way by which yogis depart the body. Okay, and we saw the solar entrance and the lunar entrance. When departing through the lunar entrance, temporarily the yogis go to the celestial realms and eventually return back to earth. Whereas through the solar entrance, they go to Brahmaloka and achieve a state of no return. Then, how do these stars move? Knowledge of the movement of stars. Dhruve tat gati jnanam. Dhruva is the pole star. You remember we saw the story of Dhruva. Dhruva was so steadfast, unchanging in his devotion, in his tapas, austerity, that Bhagavan said, you will be the pole star by which you are not changing. You will always be in the same location. With using you, people know what stationary point is. So saṃyama on the pole star, knowledge of the movement of the stars is acquired. Gati means path in this context. Usually means destination or destiny. Here it means path. When the sun and the moon in the preceding sutras, while the sun and the moon in the preceding sutras refer to the internal solar and lunar entrances within the subtle psychology, here Patañjali states Dhruva mentioned here is the ordinary pole star. It is not a subtle point in the body. Okay, so Swami Hariharananda makes this point explicit. Dhruva refers to the actual pole star. By meditating on this, you understand how other stars move. So the entire Dhruva is here, and all the other things move around. And we've seen the story of Dhruva, so I will probably skip it. So Dhruva, remember the child, he wanted to sit on his father's lap, but Suniti and Surichi, the two wives, so Suniti is the mother of Dhruva. Surichi is the other wife who pushed him away from the lap of the king. So Dhruva was very hurt. Then Suniti, his mother, tells him, all this, the lap of your father, all that, it's temporary. You look for the highest thing from which nobody will push you. That is Bhagavan, Vishnu. So Dhruva then goes looking for Vishnu, and he meets Narada, the traveling sage, and Narada teaches him about he initiates him in this mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, and Dhruva chants that in his mind. And in the first month, he only ate fruits and berries every 3 days. Like that, his penance became more and more austere. And eventually, Bhagavan appears before him. So that is Dhruva. He represents unshakability. Dhruvam means, literally the word Dhruvam means it's non-moving, just so fixed. Your concentration, like Dhruvam, means just so fixed in something. Okay, Dhruva. Now we move into knowledge of the anatomy. So far, are things kind of clear? This is all siddhis. It's the way we are seeing all the siddhis is, these are all seem like very superpowers which we can't even relate to, but through that we are learning a lot of things about how these systems came about. It's just like magical. All this work Jyotish works. Everybody, so many people consult Jyotish. Ayurveda works. It's very popular these days. So how did all these things came about? It is through this. People didn't have equipment 5,000, 6,000 years ago. But through meditation on different parts of the body, they were able to understand their own body and how the cosmos worked. That is what Patanjali is trying to say. Okay. So any questions? Quick questions so far? Otherwise, we'll move on to the human anatomy. Okay. Knowledge of the human anatomy. Nābhi cakre kaya vyuha jnanam. By saṃyama on the nābhi. Nābhi refers to the navel. On the nābhi chakra, the arrangement of, or the anatomy, arrangement of the body, or the anatomy of the body is revealed. So that is what Patanjali is trying to say here. So by saṃyama on the nābhi chakra, the arrangement, anatomy of the various parts of the body is revealed. So let us briefly look at this portion. Nābhi chakra. Okay. All right. So first we have to see what a chakra is. Okay. A chakra literally means a wheel. So when you talk about a wheel, what comes into your mind immediately? Anybody wants to take a guess? What the first thought that comes into your mind? A chakra.
It's turning, spinning.
Turning, yeah, it's a swirl. Exactly. So it's turning. Chakra is a subtle center where the prana gathers, it circulates and it's redistributed. In yoga, the body is not understood only as a physical body made of bones, muscles, organs, and nerves, but there is also what's called a pranamaya kosha. So we saw the different koshas in the, for those who attend the Vedanta, the body can be divided into 3 sharirams: stula shariram, sukshma shariram, karana shariram. The stula shariram is the physical part. The sukshma shariram consists of the mind, the prana, the power behind the perception, all that. And there's a different way of dividing the body into the pancha kosha, which is annamaya kosha, that's the physical part, then pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, the mind kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, the intellect kosha, and anandamaya kosha, that's the karana shariram. So pranamaya, manomaya, vijnanamaya, they belong to the subtle body, and pranamaya is the sheath. It's the kosha means a sheath. So the body has 5 sheaths: the physical sheath, the prana sheath. The prana sheath is the pranamaya kosha that has all the prana elements. So the prana is supposed to travel through these conduits called nāḍīs. This is not the nerve. Nadi is not the nerve, but very close. It's there is a relationship, but prana is not the nerve. And they meet at these chakras, these whirlpools where they're distributed. So they're kind of like a highway meeting point, and then they merge out from there. When the nadis meet, prana does not simply move in a straight line. It gathers, circulates, and forms a kind of energetic whirlpool. This whirling center is called a chakra. The word chakra means wheel. So it's called a wheel because prana is understood to move there in a circular or spiral-like fashion, not merely straight. So the 7 chakras, there are 7 main chakras in the body. Mooladhara chakra, this is at the base. It stands for survival grounding. So if your Mooladhara is weak, then the basic things like survival, grounding, all those things are affected. So if you want to ground yourself, people would focus on the Mooladhara chakra through pranayama and different practices. And in Shaktiism, so in Sri Vidya worship, the chakras are given a lot of importance. So by meditating on certain points in the body, you you activate certain chakras. So if this Muladhara is weak, you strengthen it that way. Then Swadhisthana, that is for creativity, expression, sexual, it determines all the sexual nature of the body. Then Manipura, self-esteem, your confidence, power, all those things are determined by the Manipura chakra. Anahata chakra means, anahata means the without the second. It's love, relating to others. Say heart chakra, how you relate to others, love, everything. Then Vishuddha, it is the throat chakra, communication, self-expression. Then Agnya, that's the intuition. It is in the middle of the eyebrows. So Agnya chakra. So here. Then Sahasrara is about a couple of inches above the crown. And that is the highest self-realization. Okay. So those are the chakras. All right. Now we'll see a short introduction to Ayurveda. So in when you meditate on this Nabhi chakra, you understand how the body works. So in Ayurveda, the body is supposed to consist of what are called the different layers. So there is the dhatus, the corporeal layers. So we saw the 5 koshas like that in Ayurveda. In the same Annamaya kosha is divided into 7 dhatus or corporeal layers. It's called the rasa, the plasma, skin, outer sheath; rakta, the blood; mamsa, flesh, muscle; meda, sinew, connective tissue; fat; asti, bone; then macha, marrow; then shukra, the reproductive essence. So this is how they've divided it. And all this is driven by 3 doshas. Dosha literally, it's very similar to the gunas. It literally means an imbalance. So just like you have sattva, rajas, and tamo guna, here in the body, you have this swirl. This is called the 3 doshas, the vata, pitta, and kapha. Vata is the wind element, the principle of movement, the nervous system, circulation, they're all predominantly vata influenced. Then there's the pitta or the bile, the fire element, bile or the fire element. This is the principle of transformation, digestion, metabolism, intelligence, your intellect. Everything is determined by the pitta nature. Then the kapha, which is literally the phlegm, the earthing element, which kind of grounds you. And too much of grounding makes you sluggish also. It is the principle of structure and stability. Without kapha, the whole thing will collapse. Skeletal integrity, immunity, lubrication, all that is kapha. So this is how the body is divided. A true yogi understands the body's arrangement as seen from within. This knowledge is not theoretical, it's a map derived from the practice of saṃyama. Okay. So that is a very brief introduction to Ayurveda. It's a huge science which is practiced even today. So Western medicine doesn't have a solution to chronic conditions. Like some people suffer from lack of sleep, because Western medicine, it impacts so many other things. It works on chemicals, whereas Ayurveda works, and even homeopathy, they work with the body and try to balance these doshas, so you attain a state of samam or balance. Then ability to control hunger and thirst. Kantaghupe shuddhipasa nivrittihi. By saṃyama on the pit of the throat, the kanta refers to the throat. Kupam is the hollow or the pit. So kanta kupa is the pit in the throat. Saṃyama on this is the hollow region. Saṃyama on the pit of the throat one can control. Kshut is hunger. Pipasa is thirst. Nivrittihi means cessation or freedom from burning hunger and thirst. So when a yogi directs saṃyama to this very specific point, the sensations of hunger and thirst are subdued. Swami Hariharananda says this is because the vital forces and nerves responsible for signaling these physiological needs are concentrated or governed around this area. By mastering this center, the yogi gains control over the metabolic desires of the body. Swami Hariharananda emphasizes this is not a trick to stop eating, but a method of gaining mastery over the samana vayu. So there are 5 prana vayus: prana, apana, samana, pyana, and udana. We'll see that soon. I'm just giving ahead of time. I'm giving you this thing. It is by controlling the samana vayu which governs digestion. So this burning sensation you feel when you're hungry, it's all the acids, you can say, but the fire, acid burns, right? It is the fire nature of the acid, that's the pitta. It comes from the samana, that's from the fire element. By quietening the nerves in the throat pit, the mental preoccupation with food and water vanishes, which is essential for deep, long-term meditation. So that is the ability to control. So again, Dhruva, in the first month, he ate only fruits and berries every 3rd day. The second month, when he was meditating, he apparently only ate dry grass and leaves every 6 days. The 3rd month, he drank only water every 9 days. The 4th month, he breathed air every 12 days. The 5th month, he attained perfect saṃyama. He completely stopped eating and drinking, and at some point even he stopped breathing and he sucked in all the air, and the entire universe felt choked apparently. That's when the rishis begged to Vishnu to appear before him, and Bhagavan Vishnu appears. So this is the mythology. So by concentrating his life force, Dhruva became so still that the earth began, and heavy, that the earth began to tilt under his toe. He had suppressed his own hunger and thirst by mastering the prana. He eventually suspended his birth entirely. So it caused a cosmic imbalance, and the entire world started suffocating. That's what's mentioned. Of course, this is all a story, mythology, to make the whole thing look impressive. So, but the message here is the yogis can access certain points of the body through deep meditation and are able to control certain physical urges. Then, ability to attain steadiness of the body and the mind. Kurmanadyam stairyam. By saṃyama on the kurma nadi, steadiness of the body and the mind are attained. Okay. Kurma nadi, kurma refers to tortoise. Kurma nadi is a subtle tortoise nadi, or the tortoise energy channel. It's a nadi, remember, they're conduits. The prana flows through these conduits called nāḍīs. They're not nerves, but very closely associated. They are invisible channels. The nadi is a subtle energy channel. So this is like in acupuncture, they divert chi. If you have a stomach problem, they put a needle here. If you have like pain somewhere in the body, they put a needle elsewhere, not there, because they're changing the flow of chi to divert it there to heal the body. So the nadi is a subtle energy channel, and the tortoise nadi, or the kurma nadi, is located in the upper part of the chest, just below the throat cavity. So I assume somewhere in this point. It is a specific center of prana that governs physical and mental restlessness. So when you breathe deeply in this, and that's why they say expand the chest. So you feel at this point at the top of the chest, below the throat cavity, then you attain steadiness. If the breathing mechanism is calmed, calmness of the whole body follows. Like a snake or iguana can stay inert like a piece of stone, so the yogis also, by controlling some parts of by focusing on some parts of the body, they can attain complete stillness of the body. And when the body becomes very still, mind can also be made calm along with it. The steadiness referred in the sutra, Swamiji says, refers to the calmness of the mind, because all the powers referred to herein are of the nature of knowledge. Okay, so that is the Kurma Nadi. So far, are there any questions?
I have
What
a
is
question.
Sorry, yeah. Sorry, what was the location of Kurmanadi?
Kurma Nadi, it said, Swamiji says it is below the throat cavity in the upper part of the chest. So I assume somewhere in this region.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Amy?
No, that was my question as well. Thank you, Anjana.
Yeah. So the Kurma refers to any, so the reason it's called Kurma Nadi, some people say it's a tortoise shaped thing. No, that's not the reason. It's symbolic. Symbolism, you've seen the story before. Tortoise is a metaphor for stability. Tortoise is deeply symbolic in the Puranas. Most notably, it's a second story of the second avatara of Vishnu. The first is the Matsya avatara. Second is the Kurma avatara. Matsya is the fish. Then Bhagavan comes as Kurma. So what happens is that, so I mean, the story has a preceding story. And who do we thank for all the stories? Anybody wants to say? Who's the person we thank for all the stories that we have?
Vyasa?
No, Vyasa. No, Vyasa. Kind of, Vyasa, he's just a composer. But all the stories are due to whom? Rishi Durvasa, remember? Because of the amount of curses that he gives, we have all these fantastic stories. So the story goes that one day, Indra was riding on his Airavata, this huge white elephant with multiple tusks. At that time, there was Rishi Durvasa was passing by. And there was everybody is terrified of Durvasa because of his temper. He can give curses. When Rishi Durvasa passed a woman selling flowers, so she's made garlands. In India, they use it for worship. They put a flower garland around a deity and they worship. So she had a garland in her hand and she had a basket in her head with garlands. She was scared on seeing Durvasa. She didn't know what to do. So she fell at his feet and gave him the garland. So Durvasa blessed her and he took the garland. He didn't know what he's a sage, Rishi. He didn't know what to do with the garland. So then he goes and he sees Indra traveling in his elephant and he gives it to Indra. So this garland had certain, this is meant for putting on the deity, not on our own neck. It had a certain leaf, which is supposed to be very auspicious. But this leaf is little prickly, so it can poke into your skin. So Indra is sitting on the elephant. So Indra tells Airavata, the elephant, okay, keep your trunk and get the garland. So the elephant takes the garland and gives it to Indra. So Indra, he doesn't know what to do with this because he can't put it on his own neck because it'll poke. So he just keeps it on the forehead. He's sitting on top of the elephant. He keeps it on the forehead of the elephant. And the elephant is also pricked. Even though the elephant has thick skin, it also gets pricked and it shakes and the garland falls down. Then Durvasa says, "How dare you disrespect me by throwing the garland down? I am cursing you that you will lose all your powers and your glory." So devas, because they have drunk the nectar, div means those who have consumed the nectar. Sura, basically, suras means those who have consumed the nectar of immortality. So they're shining, they look beautiful. Then he says, all that your strength, your radiance, everything will be gone. This is what happened. So all the devas lost their strength, and Indra doesn't know what to do. So he prays to Vishnu. Vishnu says, churn the ocean to get the nectar. So that is when samudra mathanam means churning. So the churning process happens. Of course, to churn the entire ocean, it's called the Shira Sagaram, ocean of milk. You need a lot of people. So the devas go to the asuras. The asuras, remember, the asuras and devas are two aspects of even though in mythology it's depicted as these divine people, and these people with lower intent, or people who are given to impulses, they are not clean. That's how it's depicted. But it's just, these are symbolisms for the two aspects of us, the higher nature and the lower nature. So the asuras decide, okay, we also want a part of the nectar. We will agree, we will churn. And to churn, they use the churning rod. What was the churning rod? They used a huge mountain. Okay, so they used the mountain, and they need a rope to churn. What was the rope? It was Vasuki, the serpent, Shiva's serpent. That became the churning rope. And the devas and the asuras, and there was also a lot of squabble. The asura said, no, we want the head portion, we want to hold on to the head portion. And then the devas, they were said, oh, we can't hold on to the tail, that's a dirty area, that's all the snake elimination, all that happens there, we can't hold on to that. But then they started fighting. Then Vishnu comes and tells, just do what I tell you, because you will suffer less. See what's going to happen. And at that time, Vasuki, because it was huffing and puffing, started consuming, throwing out poison. And the asuras, being very close to the head portion, started suffering more. And then Shiva comes and drinks all the poison, and he saves everyone. So again, and the whole mountain was going to collapse. And that's when Bhagavan takes the form of a Kurma avatar, a giant tortoise. He swam below the ocean, placed the mountain upon his back. His shell was so incredibly hard and stable, provided an unshakable foundation, allowing the churning to continue for 1,000 years without the mountain shifting or sinking again. So just as Kurma provided the unmoving foundation for the cosmic churning, the Kurma Nadi provides the internal foundation of physical stability. So in yoga, the churning the mind to find the nectar of samadhi requires the body to be unshakable as the tortoise shell below Mount Mandara. So this is the Mount Mandara. So that is the analogy. That's why it's called Kurma Nadi. Okay. Now comes a very interesting one. Ability to see the siddhas, or the perfected beings. Murtya Jyotishi Siddha Darshanam. Now, by performing saṃyama on the light at the top of the head, one gains the vision of perfected beings. So this is an interesting point. Murtya Jyotishi. Swami Hariharananda explains that this light is an inner effulgent light connected with the skull or head region. He says that in the skull, there's a small opening through which the effulgent light emanates. And by practicing saṃyama on the light, yogi can perceive siddhas who move in the subtle region between the earth and the sky. Vachaspati Mishra clarifies that this light is not the physical light, but it's a light of sattva guna, the purity and the intelligence. Okay. Siddhas are beings of high spiritual realization who exist in a subtle form. So remember, we've seen some of those Videhas, all those. The Siddhas, one of the great Siddhas is the great yogi. We've seen that before. Swami. So in the autobiography of a yogi, so there is a mention of a great yogi who, I don't have that here, but somewhere it is there. So Shri Guru, he is called. So the yogi is some of these yogis, they apparently exist in the subtle realm, and this is all about the seeing such divine beings. So these are called the Siddhas, or the perfected beings. By performing light on the top of the head, one gains the vision of these perfected beings. Now, this point, the Murda, it is called Brahmarandra. Okay? In children, if you see the skull, in the beginning, it's there's a small hole there. It's a tender spot there. It's called fontanel. Life, according to the yogic text, enters through this point. This tender spot where the bone does not form until later in a child's development. It's called the fontanel. This is the bony plates. Brahmarandra means, in the context, it refers to supreme. Brahma is a supreme reality. Randra means aperture, hole, orifice. So Brahmarandra literally means the aperture of the Brahman, or the door to the creator. So it says that life enters the body through this point. It is not a physical hole, but a symbolic and subtle gateway through which consciousness is said to become connected or enter the body. It's subtle opening at the crown of the head. So yeah, here. This is, they call him in the autobiography of a yogi also, it is mentioned. So these Siddhas, perfected beings, by focusing on the sattvic light at the top of the head, one can see Siddhas are perfected beings. Okay. So some people call, yes, Babaji. Yeah.
Yeah, I forget the name of that person.
They call him Babaji. Like the Shri Guru Baba. Some people say.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, he is called by different names, but he's just like a perfected being.
Oh, it is Mahavatar Baba.
Mahavatar. Some people call it Mahavatar Babaji. Some people call Shri Guru Babaji.
Okay.
Okay, now we go into transcendental powers and mastery over the elements. Sutras 3.33 to 3.49 with a warning sutra in between, 3.37. Okay, so it warns about all the siddhis. These can be extremely addictive, but don't fall prey and you'll get stuck. Okay, the first sutra is about pratibha. Ability to know everything through pratibha, or through extraordinary, a flash, divine intuition. This happens to us, right? Sudden flash, and it comes from meditation. Pratibhatva sarvam. By extraordinary intuition that's obtained through meditation, one has the ability to comprehend everything. So this makes a significant shift in the text. All the previous sutras describe specific powers attained by focusing on particular body parts or objects. This sutra describes a state of spontaneous universal knowledge. Swami Hariharananda describes this as spontaneous enlightenment. He explains that through the extreme refinement of the mind, the yogi's consciousness becomes so clear that it reflects the truth of any object immediately upon thinking upon it. He emphasizes that this is a stage of effortless knowing. No effort needs to be put in. Yogi doesn't have to do Rather, the knowledge simply shines forth. He wants that while this is a sign of great progress, the yogi must remain detached even from this universal knowledge to reach the final goal of Kaivalya. Because the yogi's object is not looking for knowledge of everything, but to get liberated, get moksha. So there is a very interesting story of Vyasa and his son Shuka. So Shukadeva, as he is called, there's a very interesting story. So Shukadeva Goswami was a Nitya Siddha. He was a perfected being who was born. He was born with full realization. So he had very little part of the karma. I mean, he was there to. He was the one who gave the Bhagavatam he told about the Bhagavatam to Parikshit. So he did a few things and then he just disappeared. Shukadeva, once, he had no attachment. So he just once left the house. His father, Vyasa, Krishna, this is not the Vyasa who's the commentator. Vyasa literally means a commentator or organizer. Okay. This Vyasa is Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa. Krishna means dark. He is said to be Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasa Rupaya Vishnave. He's supposed to be an incarnation of Vishnu who is dark. So he is depicted as very dark. Krishna means dark. Krishna Dvaipayana means Dvipam means island. Ayanam. So he was one who was born in an island. The dark person who was born in an island. Lakshadweep means 1,000 lakh islands. It's a bunch of islands in the Indian Ocean. So Lakshadweep. Dvipam means island. So Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa was because he was born in a boat between Parashara and Satyavati, is called Dvaipayana. So Vyasa gets very attached to him and he runs after him. So Vyasa keeps running after him. So even though Shukadeva is just walking, he seems to be going much faster than his old father, Vyasa. Then Shukadeva, he had knowledge of everything. He can communicate with the plants, he can communicate with other human beings, and he has no desires at all. And Shukadeva passed a lake where there were young women, the daughters of the local inhabitants. They were bathing unclothed. He walked by them, his mind completely absorbed in the absolute Brahman. And he didn't see them. He only saw consciousness everywhere. He didn't see the physical body, gender, and the women did not feel any shame or agitation. They remained as they were, seeing him as part of the nature, no different from a tree or a breeze. After a few moments, this old man is running there, following his son's path. The women immediately scrambled to cover themselves with garments. Then Vyasa asked, my son is young and he hasn't even had his sacred thread ceremony. I am an old man, a forest dweller. Why did you cover yourselves for me but not for him? The women replied, your son's vision is pure. He does not distinguish between male or female. He only sees reality everywhere and he understands everything. You, O sage, still possess the distinction of the eye, drishti beda. You recognize us as women and yourself as a man. So we feel ashamed and we cover ourselves. And then Shukadeva continued deeper into the forest. Vyasa keeps running behind him. Shukadeva didn't even look back. He was totally absorbed. But the trees echoed back the call to Vyasa. He demonstrated that Shukadeva has completely merged into the consciousness. So this is the Puranic illustration of the dawn of knowledge. Shukadeva did not need to perform anything. It's just spontaneous knowledge came to him. So he was at one with everything. So that is this spontaneous pratibhatvat sarvam, spontaneous knowledge. So Shukadeva is embodiment of that knowledge. He knew everything and he just doesn't have to act at all. And this is from his past life, perhaps, this state of saṃyama. Then knowledge of one's mind. Hridaye chitta samvit. By performing saṃyama on the heart, knowledge of the chitta, the mind, is obtained. Samvit means knowledge, awareness, direct intuitive perception. Vyasa explained that hridaya, or the heart in this context, is a specific physical part of the body, often metaphorically represented as a small inverted lotus with the head turned down, located in the chest. Vyasa further states that chitta, the entire internal organ of thinking principle, is considered to reside within the energetic heart center. So I hope you remember the four aspects, the four parts of the mind: mana, buddhi, ahankara, and chitta. Manas is the memory, feelings distributed throughout the body. Buddhi is the intellect, that's the prefrontal cortex. Ahankara is the ego, that's the sense of I, who is this entity with respect to the world. We need the ahankara, otherwise we'll just be like a jello, the gel, nothing. We need something to anchor ourselves to the world. That is the ahankara. So it has some useful purpose, but sometimes you get carried away and think that we are everything, but you need to use it as a tool. Then chitta, it's a link to the consciousness. It is the movie theater of the mind. Okay. Chittiva bhaveti chittam. It seems to manifest as the original consciousness. Now, there's a very famous experiment that was conducted in the University of Wisconsin. This picture is not from that one. When their heads were hooked up to a EEG electrodes, a bunch of Buddhist monks, when their heads were hooked up to a bunch of EEG electrodes to study the mind, these monks started laughing uncontrollably. When asked why they were laughing, they said to the translator that, because they spoke Tibetan, that the mind doesn't, you can't study the mind by putting electrodes here. You have to put electrodes here. So this shows that in yogic tradition, in all meditation traditions, heart is the seat of intelligence. It is also the abode of the Atman, Atma, it says. Okay, so that is the story of the Buddhist mind. So this shows that mind, when we say mind, we always think of the head, but no, there are of course, the intellect, prefrontal cortex is here, but the manas is distributed throughout the body. The chitta is supposed to reside in the heart region. Okay, with that, we will pause the recording.